Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se bolo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shamakunda Radha Kundi ki Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan ki jai, Navadikam ki jai, Mathura Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Oh, glory is to this. Samadhi Bhakti. Oh, glory is to this. Samadhi Bhakti. Oh, glory is to this. Samadhi Bhakti. Oh, glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
No, I wasn't. I didn't feel anxious. No, I just couldn't get out of bed. Sometimes I like laying my head up like that. Yeah, it's just hard to do it because you're trying to be in the kirtan. And it's like you want to be in the kirtan, but like your mind is like dragging you so many different ways.
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Reading from Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava by Bhaktivikash Swami. And earlier we read the preface, but we skipped over the Mangala Charanam due to time constraints. But now we feel it might be best to read the Mangala Charanam, and then we'll continue from there to invoke auspiciousness. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I salute him who is known in this world as His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is of the same status as Lord Vishnu and is most dear to Lord Krishna. I offer homage to the servant of Saraswati Goswami, who, by preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya, is delivering the Western countries from impersonalism and voidism. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdyaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupa Nuga Viruddha Viruddha Pasidanta Dwanta Harine I salute him who is known in this world as His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, who is of the same status as Lord Vishnu and is most dear to Lord Krishna. I offer homage to him who is eternal, whose eternal identity is Sri Varshabhanavi Devi Daita, one very dear to Srimati Radharani, the daughter of Maharaj Rishabhanu, who is powerful, an ocean of transcendental mercy, and a deliverer of the science of Krishna. O giver of Srila Rupa Goswami's treasure of bhakti, which is replete with divine love of Radha and Krishna, I bow to you, the very form of Lord Chaitanya's mercy potency. I offer homage to you, the manifestation of Lord Chaitanya's words, the savior of fallen souls, and the remover of the darkness of incorrect conclusions that oppose the teachings of Sri Rupa Goswami. As one is cherished by Srimati Radharani, Sri Varshabhanavi Devi Daita, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, although appearing in this world, Bhutale, is of the same status as the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Vishnu Pada, and is most dear to Lord Krishna, Krishna Preshta, notwithstanding, or characteristic of, his exalted status. He extends himself to and uplifts fallen souls, Dina Tari. Thus, he is an ocean of mercy, Kripabdi, and indeed the very form of Lord Gauranga's mercy potency, Sri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigraha. His distribution of Lord Chaitanya's mercy is particularly via the medium of his message, of which he is the divine manifestation, Gora Vani Sri Murti. Lord Gauranga came to give the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service in divine love, Unat Ojvala Ras, which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati distributes in the line following Srila Rupa Goswami, Madhur Yojvala Premadya Sri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida, who presented the kernel of Lord Chaitanya's teachings by defining Shuddha Bhakti as favorable devotional service to Krishna, devoid of any trace of personal desire, anya bilashita shunya. To differentiate and protect Shuddha Bhakti from various prevalent vitiated forms that claimed the stewardship of Srila Rupa Goswami, yet grossly or subtly nourished desires other than to satisfy Krishna, Anyabhilasha, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, as the servant of the best of Srila Rupa Goswami's followers, i.e. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, removes the darkness of incorrect conclusions that oppose the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, Rupa Nuga Viruddha Pasidanta Dwanta Hari, and is the powerful deliverer, Dai Prabhu, of genuine knowledge of Shuddha Bhakti, beginning with the science of one's relationship with Krishna, Krishna Sambandha Vijnana, which leads to practical devotional service, Abhideya, and the ultimate goal, Prayojana, sweet resplendent love of Krishna, Madhuryojvala Prem. Namo Gorakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padam Bhujayate Namaha. I offer homage to Srila Gorakishore Das Babaji, who is the very form of renunciation and the ocean of the mellow of separation from Krishna. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate. I offer homage to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is named Sachid Ananda, is the very form of Mahaprabhu's internal potency, and is the best follower of Srila Rupa Goswami. Gora Virbhava Bhumes Twang Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannataya Te Namaha. I offer homage to Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, who ascertained Lord Chaitanya's appearance place, is dear to the virtuous, and is the leader of the Vaishnavas. Grantera Arambe Kari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana Tinera Smarane Haya Vigna Vinashana Anasaye Haya Nija Vanchita Purana. In the beginning of this book, I invoke auspiciousness by remembering the Guru, the Vaishnavas, the Bhagavan, and Bhagavan, by remembrance of whom all obstacles are destroyed and personal desires easily fulfilled. After, like right now, or? Okay. The parade attracted so much. Okay, so this is the chapter Rapid Expansion, and the heading is 1926 to 30. This is chapter Rapid Expansion, and the date is 1926 to 1930. The parade attracted so much attention that a local cinema replayed film coverage of it for 9 consecutive days, and crowd pressure on opening day bent a solid iron banister at the Mat. The Gaudiya Mat had begun as a small group of idealists with practically no money or assets, but after the inauguration of this grand temple, the mission became fantastically prosperous. Bounteous funds were received, wonderful festivals held, and many new devotees recruited. Dr. Dinesha Chandra Sen, D. Lit. Professor of Bengali Literature at the University of Calcutta, and a distinguished writer, summarized popular appreciation of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Footnote: Dr. Sen was the author of several books that are still highly regarded in academic circles, especially History of Bengali Language and Literature. Among his other works are the Vaishnava Literature of Medieval Bengal, Chaitanya and His Companions, and Chaitanya and His Age. And here's the quote: "What you have achieved is imperishable. What you have done we could never have even conceived. Everything of ours is going toward degradation. Only you have protected everyone by performing this noble task. What you will do in the future will inspire everyone, not just Bengal or India." In November 1928, Srila Saraswati Thakur visited Kurukshetra at the time of a solar eclipse. There he simultaneously cultured the mood of the gopis when they visited Kurukshetra to meet Krishna, spoke the message of Lord Chaitanya to throngs of pilgrims, and on the bank of the sacred Brahmakund, inaugurated a theistic exhibition along with the new Vyasa Gaudiya Mat. On 25th November 1928, the Amrita Bazar Patrika reported, "The annual celebrations of Sri Vyasa Gaudiya Mat, a Punjab branch at Kurukshetra of Sri Chaitanya Mat of Sri Mayapur, lasting for 2 weeks, have been conducted with signal success. Every one of the 10 lakh pilgrims was delighted to have darshan of His Divine Grace, Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and to witness the most picturesque demonstration of the real meaning and spiritual significance underlying the bathing ceremony here, by means of installing very beautiful deities. The devotees of the Mat clearly explained everything to the audience in Hindi, Urdu, and English. Many princes, chiefs, rajas, zamindars, merchants, sadhus, high government officials, both Indian and European, and other respected persons in large numbers gladly listened every day, both morning and evening, to the Paramahamsa Maharaj explaining the superiority and highest rationality of the religion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After the throngs had dissipated, Srila Saraswati Thakur toured the numerous holy sites in the area, beginning with a visit to Dhaneshwara, to the home of a reputed medieval saint named Jagannath. There, Srila Saraswati Thakur commented that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had visited Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse in August 1514,
and in that very house had instructed Jagannath on devotion in the mood of separation. Footnote: some years afterward, Srila Saraswati Thakur revealed that this Jagannath, later invented as Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. Reported in the Nadia Prakash, 27th January 1938. He revealed that the deity of Kali in the ancient temple at Daneshvara was she who had killed the dacoits attempting to sacrifice Jadabharat. While in that region, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also visited Shukatala, the sacred place where Srila Shukadev Goswami had recited Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, and many attendant sages 5,000 years before. Later he expressed a desire that an ideal training center in Bhagavatam teachings be established there. 1930 to 33. Like great acharyas before him, Srila Saraswati Thakur expanded his activities through his disciples, who preached in several places that he never or only occasionally visited. It seemed unlikely that a religious sect from Bengal could expect much success in Assam. The Assamese had traditionally maintained a strong provincial spirit, being determined to preserve an ethnic identity distinct from their inveterate rivals in neighboring Bengal and Manipur. They were particularly leery of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement brought to Manipur by Bengali preachers some 300 years before, and adopted as the state religion, superseding previous customs. The Assamese had their own branch of Vaishnavism, more impersonal than devotional, whose theology and rituals were quite dissimilar to those of Gaudiya Vaishnava Dharma, and they were not inclined to easily relinquish it. Nevertheless, mostly by the vigorous and tenacious efforts of Shripad Nimananda Seva Tirtha, an Assamese disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, initial opposition to the Gaudiya Math in Assam gradually slackened and transformed into widespread acceptance. Hundreds of Assamese submitted themselves as disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who, on his second trip there, became so impressed upon observing the throngs of villagers bringing bags of rice and other donations and expressing natural enthusiasm for bhakti, that he promised to thenceforth visit once a year, although ultimately he did not again visit Assam. In January 1930, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati attended Kumbh Mela at Prayag. He preached amid the lakhs of pilgrims and sent his disciples into the throngs to do likewise. While in Prayag, he also installed large deities of Sri Sri Radha Krishna at Sri Rupa Gaudiya Math, at that time still in a rented property. During this period, Srila Saraswati Thakur went to South India 3 times. On a whirlwind tour starting late in December 1930, in January 1932, to Madras for installing deities and to accept Vyasa Puja, and a more prolonged visit in the summer of 1932. In November 1931, Srila Saraswati Thakur had Srimad Ban Maharaj convey a spiritual message to Lord Willingdon, the Viceroy of India. In October 1932, he conducted the Vraja Mandala Parikrama with throngs of disciples and other pilgrims, and then journeyed to Haridwar to lay the foundation for the Sri Saraswat Gaudiya Math. On 30th October 1931, at a site overlooking the hallowed Triveni, the confluence of the 3 holy rivers Ganga, Yamuna, and the unmanifest Saraswati, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati laid the foundation stone for the new temple of Sri Rupa Gaudiya Math. And on 21st November 1932, the foundation stone for the lecture hall of Sri Rupa Gaudiya Math was laid by Sir William Malcolm Haley, Governor of the United Provinces, who completed his address thus: "Let me conclude by wishing it success in an effort that, because it is non-sectarian and non-political, and teaches a high ideal of universal goodwill, cannot but secure the sympathy of all who would see greater peace and harmony in a troubled world." On 24 November, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati consecrated deities of Sri Sri Radha Govinda at the Sri Sanatana Gaudiya Math in Benares. then proceeded to Calcutta and Mayapur. In December, he went to Dhaka, where he inaugurated a theistic exhibition and lectured daily to the learned elite there. In a lecture given in 1933, Srila Saraswati Thakur commented on his propaganda activities. I saw in Madras and UP that when royalty came to see me, there were also security personnel there to protect and attend them. There were always 10 or 20 men dressed in red protecting us also, but we are without wealth or possessions. These men feed and clothe me and take care of my health. Thus, though my physical condition is very poor, I run all over, from the ocean to Himachala, preaching everywhere Sri Chaitanya's message. Shuddha Bhakti Siddhanta Vani has become the main work of my life. Many feel that this task is very difficult, whether considered individually or collectively. Hence, they should be able to forgive me.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 5, Troubling Undercurrents. Foppery and Sloth. As the Gaudiya Matha continued to grow, it attracted more money and prestige. Yet with these came problems. Up until around 1930, when the marble temple in Big Bazaar was opened, most devotees who joined the mission were serious about spiritual life, and the mood was buoyant and lively. But while preaching, temple construction and other devotional activities continued, unabated lethargy, backbiting, and other prejudicial propensities gradually infiltrated. Srila Saraswati Thakur saw seeds of worldly attachment taking root in the very institution he had founded for expelling expelling iniquity from the world. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Many Matavasis became incredibly idle, their days largely consumed by cooking, eating, washing the pots, then resting, then again rising, cooking, eating, washing the pots, and so on. Srila Saraswati Thakur would lament, "Our ashram is a joint mess, a place simply for eating and sleeping." He would quote Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, "Bhalo manda khai, heri pari chinta hina, nahi bhavi e dekho, chadibo kona dina." Sometimes I eat nicely, sometimes not. I see this and that, dress as I like, and have no worries at all. I am so carefree that I never consider that one day I will have to give up this body. He warned that to collect funds and convert them into stool and urine and to live like monkeys is not the business of the Gaudiya Matha. It appeared that certain of his leading disciples were becoming ever more motivated by desires for popularity, honor, plaudits, and position. But Srila Saraswati Thakur deemed this inevitable because for propagating Shuddha Bhakti, the institution was collecting money from materialists, along with which came poison to be ingested. When at Big Bazaar a visitor observed, "It seems as if some of your preachers are losing their edge," Srila Saraswati Thakur replied, "I established this matha for Hari Bhajan. What happens to those who do not perform bhajana is now manifesting." As early as 1927, he penned an appeal for unity. "Surrounded by enemies, we are serving the Lord and His devotees with great determination. Each of us, more or less, becomes forgetful of service to Krishna, being servants of our own six enemies. My plea to all of you is to unite and serve the Lord in the spirit of friendship and cooperation, each having the same goal in your hearts. Eka ki amara nahi paya bala. Alone I obtain no strength. Remember this and perform Kirtana Yajna in unison. The indispensable good quality expected of those in charge of Kirtana Yajna is to have friendship with all Vaishnavas and execute devotional service by pleasing all Vaishnavas." Despite bewailing the plight of the organization he had founded, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati never commented disparagingly about it, for he did not accept that the quintessential Gaudiya Matha could be polluted by the misbehavior of any delinquent members. He delineated the difference between genuine disciples and motivated followers, between the real transcendental Gaudiya Matha and its outer semblance. Sri Gaudiya Matha does not and cannot have anything in common with those who duplicitously join it with a motive to misuse divine knowledge to serve their own selfish ends. Feigned Diksha and obtainment of divine knowledge are never identical. Sri Chaitanya and his sincere devotee are eternally present in Sri Gaudiya Matha. Owlish persons incapable of seeing the light are called Mayavadis, Karmis, or wayward non-devotees. In the lecture of 1932, Srila Saraswati Thakur stated how his disciples considered that by his spending profusely on preaching programs and printing, he was embezzling their hard-earned collections. He mentioned by name a particular leading devotee as one of several who thought it better to keep those funds in the bank. But he continued, "My aim is not to make provisions and lay bricks for rascals who will come here in future. Possibly the structures already made will one day become dens of ganja and vice." He further commented that some of his men had voiced the opinion that now there were enough books and magazines, so all printing activity should be scrapped. There was no need for further hard work, for by showing the deity and receiving collections, the Mahavasis could live happily. The Matavasis could live happily. A sannyasi once returned from a speaking engagement and declared, "I delivered a superb speech that was much appreciated, so I shouldn't take ordinary rice prasad. Cook puris for me." When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati heard this, he became disappointed and said, "Karilam sannyasi haya gelo vilasi. I made them renunciants, but they have become voluptaries." No, no, voluptaries. Voluptaries. A, a ditty he often repeated in his later years. He often stated that several of his sannyasis were giving lectures simply to acquire prestige. He sometimes referred to the babugiri, foppishness, of a number of his disciples, and in a lecture at the end of 1932 he particularly addressed the sannyasis. For the sake of sincere Hariseva, to facilitate the smooth progress of worldwide preaching of Harikatha, I am giving the preachers thousands upon thousands of vehicles and have no objection to that. But why get into a car if you consider it something material? Such persons have no right to get in a car. If they do, they will become sense enjoyers. The car should not be given to those eager to ride it not for the sake of serving Hariguru Vaishnavas but to flaunt their own grandeur, who by deeming it material become sense enjoyers and travelers on the path to hell. For such persons, using cars becomes a means of livelihood. Why should persons who do not, with mind, body, and words, sincerely serve the Lord, who do not give their very selves for serving Hari Guru Vaishnavas, ride in cars? Again, if another edition of the Sahajiya Sampradaya increases, then we are as good as dead. Therefore, I have proposed that all Tridanda sannyasis should come to Ekayana Matha and no further go for bhakti. Instead, I will go begging and feed you. Why do you imitate me? I am not a Tridandi, I am fallen. You are all purifiers, not fallen like. Is there anything wrong in my considering you purifiers and making you gurus? Deeming you as purifiers, I have made you into gurus, so why do you pretend to be anything else? The Tridandi beggars should at every moment be engaged in Hariseva with body, mind and words. With what hope we came to serve Hari and what position we have now come to.
the end of the paragraph? Okay. Attempting to drive out institutional dross. In a letter of 25 April 1953, he gave a warning via a series of instructions to certain seemingly intractable Matavasis. If our Hari Bhajana decreases, then our outlook will become like that of materialists and will devour us. Number one, whatever sannyasis do for personal sense gratification should be done by going barefoot, never using shoes nor conveyances. They should not even use the worst vehicles, let alone the first-class ones. 2. They should never accept service from another. They should never engage anyone to rub their body with oil or massage their feet. 3. Gourmandizing and making independent arrangements for eating are to be wholly forsworn. 4. Sannyasis should never go to a physician or take medication according to their own wish. It is the duty of a sannyasi to save the non-sannyasis. 5. A sannyasi residing within a math should give up the mentality, I am to be worshipped and served, and reside in the math for the sake of serving all others. Otherwise, he should return home. 6. Excessive babu giri, drinking too much milk, and luxurious eating should be completely forsworn. 7. There is no need for bodybuilders to reside in the math, nor should it be like a gentleman's club. Only devotees should stay in the math. 8. Strengthening the senses by taking medicines and tonics and trying to spread one's domination to attract on others' wives, or desiring to do so, should entirely be given up. 9. We should always remember that Krishna is the only Lord and enjoyer of all, and that I am the servant of everybody. Can you hear better? You sure? A little closer. Oh. 10. I can't see that well. Yeah. 10. One should serve a devotee according to his level of bhakti. We cannot attain any auspiciousness as long as we are not delivered from the evil elephant of considering that others should serve us. 11. The fire of lust that burns for sensual indulgence should be extinguished. 12. A brahmachari should not wish to become a sannyasi to procure enhanced sense enjoyment. Enhanced sense enjoyment. The desire to dominate is not at all devotional service. 13. To consider a sannyasi a vilasi, sensualist, and wanting to become a sannyasi with that motive should be totally rejected. When a sannyasi needs any item, it is the duty of the Matavasis to take care of his requirement. If a sannyasi is free from false ego, then the Matavasis should serve him. One who indulges his senses and is deceptive cannot serve the Lord or his devotees. 14. We should be most careful that no type of Babu Giri enters the Sri Chaitanya Math, Sri Gaudiya Math, and associated maths, which would ruin the sannyasis, grihastas, and brahmacharis. The examples that we are getting should not be tolerated. Like the sannyasis, the householders should overcome the urges of desire and anger. We must be alert not to fall to the same condition as persons creating their own misfortune by being averse to serving Hari Guru Vaishnavas. 16. Begging, bragging, foppery, and deceitfulness are to be wholly given up by Matavasis, who should never forget that Krishna is to be served at every moment, and even more indispensable is service to Vaishnavas. There must not be any unnecessary attendant, and sannyasis or preachers must not be provided with any vehicle unless solely for the church's missions use. If sannyasis must go to a shop or a dispensary for any reason other than service to the mat, they should go on foot, even if the car is idle. Still, they should not take it. They should not use any conveyance. The mat is not a place for Babu Giri. A spiritual hospital is meant for its patients to display foppery.
The mat is not a place for Babu Giri. The spiritual hospital is not meant for its patients to display foppery. It is better if they behave that way by staying at home. Instead of wearing red, they can be clad in white cloth with a kacha and sent back home. Those who want foppery, I wish we could have a definition of this word because he's using it so many times. Foppery. Ah, see that? Those who want foppery, opulent provender, and medicine can go back home and care for their family. Then they will not have to identify themselves with the mat. Sannyasis who do not indulge in foppery should be recognized as Gaudiya mat sannyasis. The rest should be sent back home. Even if consequently our manpower depletes, still it is better. If those who have taken shelter of the mat but are motivated by their bellies and genitals are driven away, the expenses of the mat will be reduced, and also worldly disturbances. Those who come to render devotional service are brahmacharis, grihastas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. The mat will not give shelter to persons who do not perform devotional service, for they are enemies of the mat. Quote, I have rendered so much service to the mat, so I will ride in the car, boss others around, and demand respect. I must have a big share in the leadership and management of the mat. Unquote. That mentality should never be encouraged. Such is the talk of mundane householders. Those serving the mat should do so with no expectation of return. The jiva invites difficulties by carping about, scandalizing, and unnecessarily gossiping about others. One should always covet auspiciousness. One can control his mind and extirpate residual desires by serving the holy name. Similarly, in the essay Bada Ami O Bhalo Ami, Srila Saraswati Thakur alluded to the fermenting disquiet among his disciples. Therein he analyzed the intrinsic nature of the materialistic consciousness that induces an aspiring devotee to attempt to become a big bada rather than a good balo, and thus sidetracks him from the precious goal of Shuddha Bhakti. But despite Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's endeavors to keep the mission pure, many of his disciples did not care to fully submit themselves to his instructions. For instance, it was well known that some devotees went to yatra performances or the cinema, which mostly showed religious films, yet were forbidden for Gaudiya Mat members. Not losing heart, Srila Saraswati Thakur continued to dynamically expand propaganda efforts. He continued touring extensively throughout India, from the Himalayas and Assam down to the southern tip, and from his headquarters in Bengal westward to the Arabian Sea. Desiring to bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to places where they were little known, he established more new maths in major cities outside Bengal and Orissa. With a party of senior devotees, he would go to a city where known sympathizers resided, and with their help conduct lecture and kirtan programs, gradually attracting support while looking for a suitable house to rent as a preaching center. As soon as such a base was secured and activities inaugurated, he would move on, leaving 1 or 2 competent disciples to continue the work. After a fledgling congregation had sufficiently developed, he would return to install deities. In this way, temples were gradually founded at Lucknow, New Delhi, Patna, Haridwar, Gaya, and Bombay. Although generally only Bengalis took interest in these new Gaudiya maths, eventually several persons indigenous to those locals also became disciples of Srila Saraswati Thakur. Executive rivalry. Despite Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's full involvement in preaching and his striving to keep his followers likewise absorbed, during this period a serious misunderstanding arose between some of his leading disciples, from which 2 groups emerged. One centered around Kunja Bihari Prabhu, the main manager of the Gaudiya Math, and the other aligned with Ananta Vasudev Prabhu. Although Vasudev Prabhu had served under Kunja Bihari Prabhu when first joining the mission, soon he also became recognized as a leader. Kunja Bihari was ever busy with financial, legal, and other administrative concerns, and despite being well versed in Gaudiya Siddhanta, did not appear as spiritual as Vasudev Prabhu, who was constantly wrapped in kirtan, writing, studying, and explicating Shastra. Kunja Bihari Prabhu and Ananta Vasudev Prabhu had significantly different perspectives on how to best serve the mission. Vasudev Prabhu's associates, mostly intellectuals producing publications, emphasized purity through intensive bhajan. Kunja Bihari's supporters, involved primarily in matters such as collecting funds and establishing maths, tended to consider the other group as mere it's like theoretical and ishan at the same time. Theoretician. Is this, how do you say this? Theoretician. Okay, theoretician. It's close enough for me. Kunja Bihari's supporters, involved primarily in matters such as collecting funds and establishing maths, tended to consider the other groups as mere theoreticians doing little of practical value. These divergent approaches led to considerable strain, yet the differing parties remained united and mutually respectful on the platform of service to their master. Srila Saraswati Thakur explained that the scholarly group was serving his Vani, instruction, and the worldly active group his Vapu, body. Although both were required, Vani was paramount, for Vapu was meant only to facilitate Vani. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had several articles published anonymously in which, by philosophical analysis and without giving names, he sought to remind erring followers of the purpose for which they had joined him. For instance, Sevar Katiyan, translated Report of Service, a 1930 Gaudiya essay, clearly indicated the inadequacies of those Gaudiya Math members who, although ever busy in apparent service, had never properly heard or heeded Saraswati Vani, and whose seeming Vapu Seva thus merely nourished their lingering desires for Labha Puja Pratishta. The main points for the article had been dictated by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to Ananta Vasudev Prabhu, who together with Sundarananda Vidya Vinod Prabhu had then developed it. The accused devotees approached their Gurudev, and to avoid directly blaming him, asked why Vasudev and Sundarananda had printed it. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati replied, quote, "Whoever cannot tolerate this article has never taken birth in Gaudiya Math. If we are criticized for acting wrongly, no one will excuse us. I too will be culpable. Therefore, it was right to publish this, so that there may be reform. If there is no energy in the powerhouse, then even thousands of light bulbs cannot give illumination. Similarly, without purity and sincerity, there is no use in having many followers in a big institution." Much malcontent centered on a leading administrator, a grihasta, and when it became obvious that he was peculating large sums, the sannyasis and brahmacharis resolved to give him nothing more. They stopped going out for preaching in Bhiksha and deputed Srimat Sridhar Maharaj to verbalize their concerns to their Gurudev. Srila Saraswati Thakur was pacing up and down the veranda of the Sri Gaudiya Math chanting japa when Sridhar Maharaj approached him, yet he stopped and listened intently. His response was unexpected. Quote, "Why are you grumbling? Your minds have become distorted. Others may have insufficient judiciousness to care about the absolute goal, but why don't you concentrate on that? Have you come here for Hari Bhajan or to count money? Can you not Have you come for Hari Bhajan or to count money? Can you not reform your godbrother? If I had to employ a manager as expert as he, I would have to pay a considerable salary. Suppose he is defalcating. Why begrudge him? If you also need money, I will arrange it for you." Sridhar Maharaj bowed his head and admitted, "Our way of thinking was mistaken." He returned to his anxiously waiting godbrothers and explained, quote, "We have come to perform bhajan, not to acquire money or prestige. If others are bent on destroying themselves by looting, we shouldn't be preoccupied with them, but should simply focus on our own bhajan." But dissatisfaction with that manager did not cease. After a moneyed godbrother of his passed away, the wives of the departed devotee, transferring their estate to a trust intended for the Gaudiya Math work, giving that leading manager a controlling position thereof. When other godbrothers heard of this, they suspected that he would usurp the trust property for personal use. Some time later, that devotee remarked, quote, "Why are my godbrothers interfering with my business?" Quote. Thereupon Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati could understand that this previously intimately entrusted associate regarded the mission as simply a material enterprise, and therefore distanced him from that disciple.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava ki jai.